In today's lesson, we're going to take the next stage of solving equations, which is actually the last stage for us. So we've gotten used to opposite operations, switching sides. We've gotten used to collecting like terms, things that can go together, make it simpler. Today's big idea is what happens if we have brackets. Well, the good news is we're going to get rid of them. That's step number one. Get rid of your brackets. Expand them. Okay? Remember, that's our idea of we take whatever's in front of the bracket and we multiply the things inside by it. Once the brackets are gone, it becomes a question like yesterday. Put the numbers on one side, letters on the other, and get x by itself. Okay, so some quick reminders. How do I expand things? Multiply the thing in front by the thing inside. So 3 times 4 makes 12, and we had 1x. Multiply the thing in front by the thing inside. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. I've got 1x out front and 1 inside, which makes 2x's, or as we say, x squared. X times x. Okay, that would be it. That would be all. Not something we're actually solving here because there's no equal sign in the question. If there's no equal sign in the question, you can't actually solve it. All you can do is simplify it. And we'll try the next one. Negative 2 times 5 is negative 10, and we have just the 1x. And negative 2 times negative 10, two negatives make a positive, and 2 times 10 is 20. Again, we can't go any further because these are not like terms. That has an x. This has no x's. Okay, let's try some questions. All I got is examples the rest of today. Just expand and then solve. What do I do first? Get rid of those brackets. 2 times x makes 2x. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. The bracket is done, so multiplying is done. Equals 12 stays the same. I got a letter, a number, and a number. Let's put all the numbers together over here. 2x stays where it is on the left-hand side of the equal sign. 12 was first, so I write it down first. The minus 6 becomes a plus 6, opposite operation. I can collect 12 and 6, those are both numbers. I don't want to know what x is, I want to know 2. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. Okay, so let's give the second one a try here. We want to get rid of the brackets by multiplying what's in front by what's inside. So, oops, no equal sign there. Negative 10. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. The end of the bracket, so I'm done with multiplying. I've got the 4 all by itself. Got a number, a letter, and a number. Makes the most sense to take this number and put it over here with the other ones. So I'm left with negative 5x equals, the 4 is already there, so write it down. The negative 10, bring it to the other side, and do the opposite. So really, in this case, you have to think of this as, right now, it's subtracting. So when it comes over here, it needs to add. Okay, negative 5x is all by itself. 4 plus 10 makes 14. And now if I divide, I want to get x by itself. I'm going to do the same thing to both sides. And I get 14 divided by negative 5 comes up to negative 2.8. And it's okay to get decimals. I've always talked about that. We probably won't see them too often. I'll try and give you nice ones that work out nicely. But it's okay from time to time if you get a decimal. It's not the end of the world. Okay, we'll try some more. As I said today, is all examples. Let's get rid of our brackets. 2 times x. 2 times negative 3. End of the bracket, end of the multiplying. With the numbers on one side, letters on the other. So I'm going to bring the number over here. I'll be left with 2x. I've already got the 2. I'm going to do the opposite. So minus 6 becomes plus 6. I can collect my like terms. 2 and 6 makes 8. I want to get x by itself, so I divide by 2. What do I do to one side? I do to the other. X is 4. Really, the only thing new today is that first stage. Get rid of the brackets. It's something we've seen before. Okay, try the next one. 2 times x, 2x. 2 times 3, 6, equals negative 6. Numbers on one side, letters on the other. So 2x stays where it is. The plus 6 comes over and subtracts on the other side. Negative 6 and negative 6, that's a whole bunch of negatives. So I end up with a whole bunch of negatives. Negative 12, in fact. I got x by itself, so divide by 2. What I do to one side, I do to the other, and x comes out to negative 6. Okay, if you haven't tried pausing yet, pause now and give the next ones a try and see what you can do. They get slightly more complicated, but it's really the same idea still. Let's get rid of our brackets. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 6 is negative 12. End of the bracket, end of that section. 3 times 4, also 12. 3 times 2x, 6x, equals 16. Okay, numbers on one side. So I got a number, and then, oh, sorry, not number. I got a letter, has an x in it, and a letter, and I got numbers and numbers and numbers. The letters are already together on the left-hand side. So I'm going to leave them right where they are, just put them together. I've already got the number 16 on the right. I'm going to bring the minus 12 over, becomes plus 12. I'm going to bring the plus 12 over, become minus 12. They do the opposites. 2x and 6x makes 8x. 16 plus 12 minus 12. Well, these two things at the end here basically cancel each other out, so we're left with 16. I want to get x by itself, so I need to divide by 8. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other, and x is 2. Done. We'll give f a try. Again, pause it, see if you can figure it out. If not, come back and figure out where you made your mistake. Sometimes that's just as important. 4 times m, 4m. 4 times negative 2, negative 8. Ooh, tricky one. What's in front of this bracket? We know there's no numbers. We'll put a 1 in there to remind ourselves. Negative 1 times m is negative 1m. Negative 1 times positive 3 is negative 3. Be careful with your sign right there. Equals m minus 1. Okay, letter things on one side, number things on the other. It looks like I've got them on both sides right now. Letters and letters and letters. So I'm going to move my letters to the left side. The 4m and the minus 1m are already there. This 1m has to come this way and become a minus 1m. On the right side, I've already got the number negative 1. And I need to bring the other two numbers over and do the opposite. So negative 8 comes over, becomes plus 8. Minus 3 comes over, becomes plus 3. We're ready to collect. 4m minus 1m is 2m's. Negative 1 plus 8 plus 3. That makes 10. I want to get m by itself, so I need to divide by 2. Whatever I do to one side, do to the other, and m is 5. Same procedures as yesterday once we get rid of the brackets. Just to point out again, in this last question, if you don't see a number there, put the 1 there, remind yourself that there's a 1 there, and be careful with your sign. Usually in that last one, people mess up that sign. Okay, let's try this last one here. See if you can figure it out. If you got this figured out, you've got this algebra stuff figured out as far as we need to go for grade 9. And I see some brackets. Let's get rid of them. 4 times y. 4 times 7. End of the bracket, end of the multiplying. Negative 44. It's not in the bracket. It's not attached to the bracket, so it just stays negative 44. In front of the bracket is the 2. So that multiplies, and that multiplies. So it's kind of a trick in terms of this negative 44. It's weird. It's not in the bracket, out of the bracket. It's all by itself. So it stays all by itself. Okay, letters on one side. 4y is already there. Let's bring the 2 over to join it. It'll be a minus 2y. On the right side, we have negative 44 and positive 12. We'll bring the 28 over and join it. 4y minus 2y makes 2y's. Negative 44 plus 12 minus 28. Put in our calculator, we get negative 60. That's for 2y's. We want to know just y, so we'll divide by 2. And y is negative 30. That's our lesson. That's how we can solve things with brackets. There's a sheet, as per usual, of questions that have brackets in them. Get rid of the brackets, treat it just like normal. Oh, sorry, there is one more question at the bottom of the example. I forgot about this one. Okay, well, back to our good old algebra questions with rectangles. So we talked about this before. We learned how to set them up. We're going to practice solving them now. The perimeter of a rectangle is 36. You remember that perimeter meant all the way around. In other words, add up all your sides. So in this case, we have a 3x plus 2. Right? We've got an x plus 4. We have another 3x plus 2. And we have another x plus 4. That's what we did last unit. The only difference is today, they're telling us in the question that the perimeter of the rectangle shown is 36. In other words, that's what it equals. So last year we learned how to set them up. This year we learned how to solve them. How do we do that? Numbers on one side, letters on the other. So in this case, I'm going to take the 2 and bring it over, the 4 and bring it over, the 2 and bring it over, and the 4 and bring it over. I'll be left with 3x, 1x, 3x, and 1x. So I've got numbers on one side, letters on the other. Add them all together. I wonder what x is, so I divide by 8. And x is 3. What was the question asking us? The question said determine the actual dimensions of the rectangle. Well, now that I know what x is 3, I can use that to figure out how big this is. This says x plus 4. Well, if x is 3, that means it's 3 plus 4, or in other words, 7 meters. Same thing over here. It says 3x is 3 times x. So if I put that x in, a value of 3, follow my BEDMAS rules, I'll get 9 plus 2. And now I have the dimensions. Therefore, the rectangle is 7 meters by 11 meters. And just like last unit, we'll do a couple shapes, but the difference is we know what it has to come out to this time. They're going to give us the answer, and we've got to solve for the value that makes it true.